Hi.
Episode 5. Welcome to the Degenerates podcast, where we are shit talking and getting your unique perspective from all types of things happening all around the country and or Houston, or just wasting fucking time, because that's what fucking
like
degenerates do.
Yeah.
Today, we do not have Juliet. Juliet is currently about to either on a plane or has already landed in New York City. She's going to have a great weekend. So today we have Marcela, my sister, who is usually
On the other
behind the scenes with the audio and the other mic and having insightful conversations. So today she's on camera. Hopefully one day we'll be able to get like everybody on camera and figure out a way to just like have the behind the scenes be behind the scenes. But until then, we're just gonna keep it up. We didn't want to not record.
Yes.
For 1 week straight, because the next couple weeks are going to be a little crazy. So we were just like, we have to figure out a way to plow through. So
Yes.
before we get started, we have to do a shot, because that's the way this works. Boom. Got it. In essence, yes.
Shot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Tequila, baby.
Okay.
Not like
Quemado?
amazing tequila. Yeah. It's all right.
It is all right.
It's all
I've
right.
had smoother. I actually just recently found one that I was like,
A good
I
tequila?
could sip on this all day. It might have just been my particular taste that I enjoyed that particular tequila.
Tequila,
But I don't know.
people are always like, man, tequila is just like for shots, and like tequila this. I'm like,
know.
no, you can actually like have
You
a
can
wide
sip.
ranging of like really
Absolutely.
great tequilas that are like very subtle. So despite the fact that they're relatively easy to make or distill, like you can still get a pretty wide range. And like
Yeah.
I learned this from Pastry Wars.
Did you really?
My man,
Pastry Wars. I'm still so sad.
my man's Saul over at Pastry Wars was learning me plenty things every time that I would show up, which was for a good amount of time, like maybe even a couple times a week, just showing up to the
Really?
to the bar and just being
They
like, yo,
broke.
like what we
They
doing?
broke my blackout cherry because that was the one
Your
and only.
blackout cherry?
Yeah, you know, like the first time you ever black out getting drunk, like they were it for me.
Oh, that was
I
my
got
fault.
like
Huh?
what? In
That was my fault. You see this is now starting to be a regular theme when it comes
You
to the
are
people
the source of
the
that
people that
issue.
are around me. And we're just because I would just end up being all right. Like I would just
Yeah.
end up being like, hey, you
You
know me at the end of the
chilling.
night, I'm like, it's like
Straight
1:30,
chilling.
2 a.m. I'm like, yo, have you seen that horse? Like what? And then everybody around me is like,
yeah,
and I'm just like, oh,
yeah. No, in a matter of like an hour or two,
an hour?
Wait, that was my mistake.
You need to
though.
fucking limit
That was
yourself,
my
okay?
mistake. So
First of all.
first of all, I was under 21. I wasn't supposed to be in there. I had like a.
Hey, remember you're 15?
Oh my God, yes. So drunk as.
That was good.
Okay, like you were just straight chilling, straight vibing through all the dances and stuff. We have video of
We
you
have
doing
video of
this.
me?
You literally
Okay,
doing
so
this.
for reference, in case you are out there watching this podcast and you are not Mexican and you are not Mexican American or any kind of this Hispanic culture, when people when a young woman is about to be 15 years old, traditionally speaking, they're gonna go through their quinceañera, which is their rite of passage towards womanhood, which is kind of, in theory, on a long-term level, like on a retrospective level, kind of bullshit, because like
Very
in this
bullshit,
country, like
yes.
even then, like you're 15, you're a fucking child, you can't do shit or whatever, right? But it is a phenomenal reason to fucking party.
To get your brand new 21-year-old brother drunk. That's what it
to
was.
fucking party. It is a perfect reason
Oh
to
my
party. There's
God.
food, there's drinks, there's
it just dawned
there's
on
family
me.
everywhere, and then you're just like drinking. So
I was 16. You had just turned 22 that year.
I was.
It didn't even dawn on me that you were that young. Oh
I
my
was pretty young.
God, you were a baby.
So
You
I
were, like,
was-
brand new into that. No wonder you got lit. So let me tell you what was happening on the floor out there. First of all, I was dancing around everywhere because, of course, I was a 15 girl. It was my day. And then everybody in the family or somebody somewhere bought every single table a bottle of tequila.
A whole bottle.
I didn't know this, but it was like, what was it?
It was like
Patron
you know
or something?
like Mexicans like doing this
Oh,
dumb shit where they're
Centenario.
like, let's get a Godfather for this, or a
Yes.
Padrino. That's what
So
Godfather.
I
means.
had somebody somewhere, a padrino, that gave every single table a bottle of Centenario, which is like a pretty big bottle of tequila.
It's añejo tequila too.
It's añejo too, so it's like all reposado and shit. Like it looks real cute and whatever. You know that shit hit you hard. It definitely hit you ass hard.
Yeah, it hit my ass hard.
We're dancing and stuff, and at one point or another, he had a cup of something. I was right in front of you when you did this too.
I seen
he
the
literally
pictures.
like ooh ooh ooh. ooh. And then walks away and starts dancing again. And it was literally like what? And literally less than like a minute later, you see people out here slipping on shit, and you're like, "Whoa, what's happening on the floor?" And
What's
Juan was
happening
like,
on the floor?
What's happening on the floor? I don't know what's happening on the floor.
I had a cup
He
the
was just
entire
straight
time.
chilling.
Well, because on top of the fact that there was a bottle for every table,
Yeah.
there was also extra bottles.
And
in
not
the
only
back.
that, but like the people weren't all that interested in drinking the bottles because there was free beer, and there was
free beer,
they
yeah.
like prioritized having ample amounts of fucking beer that
Yes.
day.
I think
so
out of our
most
family-
of the men were in the like beer.
Yeah, the beer section. I think out of our family, I was the only one. Like, and I
Drinking
mean even
actual
extended
liquor.
family and past that. Like, I think I was the first, if not the first one, maybe the only one to some degree that actually like dabbles in like hard liquor.
Absolutely. Mostly
Because
everybody
everybody else, and even then on the beer game, like
you do as well.
like on the beer game, I'll like branch out and be like drinking like stouts and like
you got
fucking
dad out
Belgian
here on
triples
some
and
fancy shit. So like now that he brings his little homeboys from Mexico, they're all like, "Ooh, this is
What is this? Yeah, and we're
like,
trying we're trying beers from like fucking Belgium and like
Como mi tío Piojo
Antarctica
out here
and like
getting
all
all
the,
sorts of-
we did a beer from the moon once and shit like, and it's
Yeah.
all exotic and all this crazy
real.
shit. So I think I'm not. But that day of your party, I remember it vividly because I showed up. I wasn't living with you guys, so I knew that everything comes to me by like third party because I got out the house. Like when I was at the age that you had your party,
Yeah.
that's the age that I left the house.
Yeah.
So I always get my information third hand, like,
yes.
second hand, third hand information. So they're like, "Yo, your sister's party is this weekend. You gotta go." I'm like, "All right, I'll make sure that I'm not out of town. I'll make sure that I'm not doing anything crazy." All right, I showed up. So I show up, and I don't necessarily have like a job to do, and because everything's technically all
Your
accounted
job was
for.
to dance with all the tias.
My
That's literally your
job,
job.
I got there, and my dad comes to me and grabs me by the fucking right here, and he's like, "You just have to make sure that everybody's having a good time."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, you're saying that
That's my job.
You're saying that I just have to MC? I just have to keep the vibes up?"
Yes.
Done.
Done and done.
I
You
used to be
literally
an MC
did
for
that, though.
weddings. So like I was like, "Yo, like this is like let's
This is
go.
news. What?
Let's go." I know you didn't know that. You
No, I know.
that-
I know. I don't know a lot of things that you've done.
there's an entertainment service somewhere around out there. I did like one bar mitzvah. I did a couple weddings. I was fucking emceeing the shit out of all this crazy shit.
Oh my
So
god.
just to keep the vibe. So I had training ahead of time how to keep the vibes fucking high. So I'm like, you know what? In order to be keeping the vibe up for the people, you have to be one of the people.
You gotta be vibing.
So
with the
if there's a
people.
bottle at every table, and I don't have a table,
I have to have a bottle.
I have to have a bottle. So that was my rationale, which I think is foolproof. And I went to get a bottle. I went to get my double cup because I'm still from Houston.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like chilling. And I just start pouring myself a little bit, and I like drinking liquor straight. If it unless somebody's like making me like a great cocktail, like I really appreciate.
That wasn't something that I didn't know that that's what you were drinking. I was 16, so I didn't really have like a full concept of what was actually happening that
you
day.
were having fun,
and I didn't know because all my little friends, little 16-year-olds and stuff like that, were drinking too, and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I not doing any of this?
First of all, we're not condoning teenage drinking, by the way. Do not go and start drinking just because we're about to tell you some funny ass stories about us drinking.
Yes.
We're just telling you that this is a documentarian's point of view of our life so far.
Thus far,
and
yes.
this is just for reference in case they ever make a Lifetime series about how tragic our life is.
Did not condone this. Anyways, so everybody was having like fun time drinking this stuff. First, I honestly didn't even know that there was actual tequila bottles at each like table till maybe like a year ago. I'm 23.
So you're just sitting there chilling.
I didn't know. Like I heard people say like, "Oh, we got a bottle of," because that's the thing. In Mexico, they don't call like hardcore alcohol like alcohol. They're like,
they call it vino.
They call it vino. So my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, everybody got little wine bottles. I didn't think they meant like alcohol. So I was like,
Mexican culture versus American culture in terms of drinking is like so different. Like so different.
So I 100% thought everybody had a bottle of wine. I was like, you can't get that drunk off wine. Like,
I heard bitches in Sex and the City be having one whole wine bottle a night. Like, it's not a big deal.
It was like not a big deal. So like, so whenever I heard that, I was like, all right, this is not that big deal. But then again, literally a year ago, I come to find out it was actually tequila, and I was like,
that explains a lot.
That explained everything. I was like, that totally explains everything. That explains why you were drunk off your ass, but you weren't really drunk.
No, I wasn't.
You were
like, I was steady. You were
I paced
myself.
You even drove us home.
I even drove you home. Like, Mom's at the end of the night.
Our mother, who is like the biggest like advocate for people not drinking, was all about Juan driving that day. She was all like, oh, he's fine. You can drive the kids home, right? By the way, he drove a couple kids home.
I drove the kids. I drove her. I drove her friend. I drove like 3 of her friends, my brother. Like the youngest people
were all essentially into your car.
that were like supposed to stay over at that, because that's the other thing. In the quinceañera, there's the party, and then there's the after party, and then there's some crazy shit. Like you go back to the house of the quinceañera, and we keep it going because we're gonna keep it going. So that we had to do that, and so there we are. My mom's is like, hey, like can you drive the children home, please? Because they need, because we have to bring like all the food back and like all the crazy shit, because we ain't wasting food. You know what I mean? So then all this is happening, and they're like taking care of it. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I could drive the kids back. Like, the kids are good. We're good. And she didn't find out until, I don't know how long later, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a year or some change. I don't know. It was a long time before she was like, wait, you were drinking?
Wait, no.
I was like, Moms, I finished the whole bottle.
But that's the thing though, like, she found out you were drinking, right? But it wasn't until maybe like 2 years ago or a year ago that she actually understood and accepted the fact that you were actually drinking like more than she thought you did.
Yeah.
So she was like, maybe like about a week or so later, she was all like, oh, you were drinking? Okay, that's not that bad, but you were fine, right? Yeah. And then now that she knows how you drink, she's like, wait, you drank.
Oh, yeah.
And I let your ass drive these kids home?
She
she's like, ooh.
She sure did.
Ooh, momentary lapse of judgment.
She sure did. This brings up a good point. Because I feel like not just with Mexican Americans or just Mexican people in general, Hispanic people, I think this in general, your parents' perception of you and what is actually happening is like incredibly different. You know what I mean? Like incredibly different. And that's a fact, because the way, and it's not even like specific to parents. Like, moms thought that I was like a fucking angel for like a big portion of my life, which is not. I wasn't like horrible.
Yeah.
But like I definitely wasn't a saint.
Yeah.
And Pops thought that I was horrible. Pops thought that like I was into everything, doing everything.
Yo, for real,
fucking everything.
Till
like,
this day, our father is like so 100% dead set on the fact that you've tried every drug on this earth and that you have experimented in every form of sexuality ever. And I'm like, why? Like, why him?
And I don't know what would even give him the idea that's happening. Like, I've never done. When I go home, I'm just chilling. I just do what I always do. Like, there's no.
And he's like so 100% certain. He's like, no, it's probably happened. I'm like, why? Like, you, like.
And I'm sure that happens. I'm sure that happens with like families everywhere where they're just like, oh, like this is my son, or this is my daughter, and this is what happened. And like the reality of it is like complete, either 180 or not even close. Like not even remotely close to what is actually going on in that person's life, which is wild.
The good parts of you are typically pretty well, I think, understood by parents. Like, you know, you're like a responsible person to a certain extent, but it's always the wild parts that they just like either 100% repress and believe that you're like not about it.
Mom be heavily repressing. Yeah,
mom represses the fuck out of all of our like bad habits, and then and dad on the other hand like
augments it.
Oh yeah, he makes it seem like you are on some other level shit. Like with me, like it's me being a girl, a woman, and the only girl in the family. Dad is always under the impression that I am 100% vulnerable. Like vulnerable. So dad thinks that like, oh no, like you're not, like you need to be taken care of. Where are you going? Like, what, do you really trust this? Do you really trust that? Do you trust this? But it's like, of course, it's always like the dad and the daughter always have somewhat of a similar relationship in almost every culture. But dad specifically is all like, oh my God, but can you really do it though? Like, you know, if he's already coddling us a little bit in like the terms of how he likes to help. Yeah. He definitely coddles me more.
100%.
Like always, 100%. And 100%. It's like not even asked for. It's always just like, I think it's because his assumption of me is that she can't do it on her own.
And this is I am adamant. I am like super adamant about this, and I don't get like butthurt about this. But I definitely think that in every family, every parent has a favorite,
and you're that favorite.
And I disagree.
Don't you
I
start
disagree.
with your ass, because let me tell you,
I disagree.
I'm gonna get Alex on the phone.
I disagree.
100%.
But I do think that happens, and I'm okay with it. I'm not even tripping.
Like,
I'm not even tripping.
We were actually talking about this not that long ago with mom, and
did she admit it?
Yeah.
That I'm her favorite?
Yes. So we were like talking.
Bullshit.
So like this is the thing though.
Me and her getting fights. Me and her fighting right now.
That's why you're her favorite, because you actually go along with her like antics of like mom loves chaos. Like mom loves to be the source of the chaos. So I think she has like this weird power trip of like being like in charge of like arguments. Like she wants to know that she started the argument. She's like, yeah, I did that. Like, yeah, like that's like her power trip. I don't know. But like we were talking about it. Alex was there, dad was there, mom and dad were there. So we were all like chilling, talking about it. And we were explaining how we think you're the favorite, in the sense that like mom is always, they always seemed to prefer you, in the sense that like they understood you a little bit more. So they understood that you were more hyper. They understood that you were more like willing and ready to do gymnastics, baseball, soccer, everything. So they put you into it. Meanwhile, me and Alex, we were way more like subdued and much more
reserved.
Like reserved. So when we wanted to do stuff, they were like, "Are you sure?" And we were like, "Well, not anymore, I guess." Like, never mind.
I always push back on that, because I don't think it's the fact that and this may be retrospective also, but like I don't think it's the fact that they understood me more. I think it's the fact that like they were so young whenever they had me. They were babies. Yeah. Like they were just kids. Yeah, they were your age. Like, you know, by the time they were your age, I was already 4. So like or 3 or whatever the hell I was. Like,
yeah, you were like
the point is babies.
Yeah, you're babies.
They were young. They were young people. So they didn't to figure themselves out, and then plus figure out how to be a parent was like fucking double. And then on top of that, in another country with no family and all that stuff. So I think they had no choice but to like run 2 lives at the same time, and like figure out like their relationship and their money and like all that crap, while also raising a kid that also was rambunctious, super hyper, like but just highly independent from like a young age, like did not like take no for an answer, just all this crazy stuff.
Like straight, like you have always been the kind of person that has a very like straight mind. Like you say, I want to do this. And like from that moment that you say that out loud, or maybe the moment that you internalize that you want that, it's clear to a lot of the people who know you that you're on your way to get there. That you've already established some sort of like ground, like way, or like whatever, like pathway to be able to get there, as opposed to myself. I can't speak for Alex, because Alex does seem a little bit more like you, but like I'm not like that. Like I could have told mom and dad, I want to do this, this, and this, but since I had never had that kind of strong-minded mentality, like I would always just be like, but like I'm not gonna do it anymore. So like I would always feel very overwhelmed, because I wanted to try a lot of things, but I never could focus enough to keep on that one thing. Now I realize, as I'm older and have my own child that has similar like attributes, is now I realize it's probably like ADHD in like a much different form from yours.
Yeah, they did try to tell my mom that I had ADHD for a minute. Yeah. They were like, yo, he needs to get on pills and shit. And first of all, the idea of like medication threw her off a little bit. Yeah. But then also the idea of that having to cost money. And she was all like, we'll just throw him into something. I don't know. We'll just figure something out. Yeah. We'll just let him run for a little longer than usual.
I've specifically been searching up, because my daughter has ADHD. And the ideas are that men and women go through ADHD very differently. So
break that down, because I didn't know this.
So men are more externalizers. So you will show, that's why you guys get picked out really quickly for having ADHD. Because men tend to be more like vocal, more hyper. They're more like, I want to do this, I want to go over here, I want to play this sport, I want to do this. So it's easy for teachers to be like, that kid can't focus that easily.
Got it.
Women are more internalizers. So women tend to be more on the lines of like, in their own mind, they're like, I can't focus.
So they're rushing in their own mind.
Yes.
Typically, like
Yes.
everything's
So
scrambling in their own
yes,
mind,
absolutely.
and then outwardly they're like,
Yeah,
like just
they
chilling.
look calm as hell, and like.
Whereas boys, young boys may be all over the place in the room, but their minds are blank.
Yeah. So their minds are pretty much. It's like the complete opposite effect. So like,
They're just like,
yes.
if you looked inside the brain, it's just some idiot. Just
Yes. So
with the sound or some shit.
So like typically, it's been more studies going in trying to internalize and figure out, because a lot of the stuff that's been researched has mainly just been on boys, because it's been a lot easier to determine these things on boys. And nowadays there's a lot more movements in trying to get women involved and trying to figure that out.
Well, if I do have ADHD, I've never been properly diagnosed or whatever, but I have read that people with ADHD can also hyper focus.
Yes.
They can also like hyper focus, which would probably make sense on my end, because from a young age I would definitely
were very like if you found something very interesting, you stuck to it. Yeah. So like there was nothing that could take you away from that. Like
day,
no
eat,
matter
sleep,
what
shit,
it was,
like
you would literally be on it. And mom and dad picked up on that really quickly. So, and it's a great attribute to have in a way. And then I'm sure you know that it might be a bit of a tough attribute to have.
It's a curse in some aspects,
because there's a lot, I'm sure you go through a lot of things, anxieties, periods in your life where that particular aspect of your life is what makes it harder for you to keep doing what you want to do. Meanwhile, me, everything has always been so like, I want to do so much, but have no idea on how to focus in on it correctly.
See, this is the beauty of having your sister be talking to you in the middle, like in front of cameras and shit, because then we look at this scenario and like 6 months ago, I didn't think about starting a podcast. 6 months ago, I was all like, I mean, I don't know. I got some video shit to do. I got a company. I'm going to figure this shit out. And then 6 months later, like, we're doing a podcast.
Also, actually, I don't even think I introduced myself. We just started talking.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Marce, and we are working on the Move Media.
On the Move Media. That is, On the Move Media is the official sponsor / donor / umbrella producer thing, which is essentially all of us anyway. So, I mean, it's just all of us it's just a moniker. We just put on a different hat and we just call ourselves On the Move Media. But we're also the Degenerates. And then we all also have our own independent things that we're all doing separately. And that's but you'll find out about that later. Either way, I don't think, going back to the thing, I push back on me being the favorite thing because of that. Because it was just 3 people, 2 adults and 1 child figuring shit out at the same time. So our relationship is just a lot different because of the fact that, we watched each other grow literally. Like I watched them grow as adults, and then they watched me grow.
What's crazy though is that's why me and Alex think you're the favorite though, because they have that form of bond with you that with us,
a friendship. They have more of a friendship bond.
That was very different from the way me and Alex were growing up, because I took in a lot of the growing with Alex, and I took in a lot of the like, Marce, you take care of Alex while we're doing this, okay? So like it was a lot of like mom doing her thing, trying to do what she needed to do, and I was there with him. So the relationship that I have with Alex is from the get-go has always been typically more united, as opposed to
you guys are definitely closer,
as opposed to you and I. Now in more recent times, I do feel like you and I have gotten a lot closer, but because we have understood that there's new things that we not necessarily have in common, but there are new things that like I can enlighten you about and you can enlighten me about.
There's experiences that we've had that we shed light on.
And then just the fact that we grew up the way that we grew up with our family and especially our dad being the way that he is, we've always just learned that it's always best to communicate about anything. So
100%. That was encouraged.
Yeah. So like with us, if there's something that bothers us, something that you're like, hey, are you all right? Like, what's up? Like, I don't know if you or Alex are all that too perceptive about like if any one of us is having a bad day, but with me, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's a girl thing or if it's just me, but I tend to pick up on like, hey, are you all right? With Alex as well. Like Alex, I'll be like, hey, how are you doing?
At that. I'm really bad at that only because I'm like, I'm at 100 miles an hour. So like I wake up, I'm doing something, I'm constantly moving. I mean, it's part of the reason me and moms are in a snuffle right now, because we're just like.
But y'all are both exactly the same though. Mom does not stop. Like mom's mind running 100 miles an hour, and she remembers every little thing. That's why me and her, I can't understand her that well, because I can't understand how somebody can do so much but still be like, oh, I have this today and I have that today and I have that to do this tomorrow. And I'm like, girl, what? Slow down.
One at a time.
Can't
no, and I'd be running that. Yeah, Bree gets on to me all the time because she's like, how the hell are you doing all of this at the same time?
And it's not only that, but like they're thinking about one thing at 100 miles an hour. I feel like we're thinking about things at 50 miles an hour, but I'm thinking about like 5 different things that none of them make sense together. So in my mind, no, I can't like properly coordinate my mind.
Yeah, it just seems to like overwhelm and then paralyze.
Yes, it's just like,
I get overwhelmed by the idea of it, and then I'm just unable to take any steps forward on any of the things.
Absolutely.
And I am like 100% focused on one thing.
I can't do that.
And like really excited about that one thing, and like really overjoyed about that one thing, even if that one thing is like seemingly like non-important, even if it's like a book or like a fucking like anything. It could be anything. It could just be just like the smallest little tiniest molecule of a thing, and then it's just boom, instead of like macro 100 like 30,000 foot view. It becomes like a super hyper focus, and then I just stay there.
So actually, I was just a little bit of therapy talk. I had my therapist tell me that you should focus on like mindfulness in those moments, because like there's a saying that like depression comes from thinking about the past, and then anxiety comes from thinking about the future.
Facts.
Fuck then.
So like, you have to instead of
me
like
having both,
past,
it's like
overthinking the future, like those are gonna cause. So instead, like trying to focus on mindfulness and just being like in the present and trying to focus on the task at hand and what it is you're doing in the moment can help you to like get through that. Instead of like I'm thinking about my training, and for training, like if I'm thinking about the past and all the past like bad training sessions that I have, it's gonna bring in that like heaviness of like, oh, this is rough. Or thinking about the future of like,
can I do this?
Am I gonna get through my training today? Then there's that anxiety of what's gonna happen when I get through training today.
That's so true.
Yeah, I tend to think about my past negatively, but I tend to think about my future positively. But I know that that's not the case for everybody. Like some people think about the future and they think negatively because they're like, I have like seemingly very little control of it.
You see, that's
mom. And that's where I'm very different. I feel like I have 100% control of my future. So like if I'm here right now and in the future, I want to be somewhere else. Like for me, it's just like, all right, I know where I'm ending. So like, let's figure out like whatever steps I need to take in order to like get there. But I can physically take the steps in some way, shape or form, no matter how small. The reason why the past is sadder for me or more negative for me is because of the fact that I can't change it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And more importantly, it probably involves a lot of other people. So then like I also often wonder about intentions or the time, the like mental state of the time, and like, you know, all these things. And because I can't like either physically reproduce it, and I just have to like account for my recollection of it, it becomes it can become a very paralyzing thing.
It can,
but not like
I don't know if I see the past I think I see both on both sides, so I tend to see both the negative and the positive.
You're a centrist all the way through.
I'm pretty much like because right now, for instance, going through the random stuff that I went through this week, all I could think of was like, yo, I can't wait till I'm 30. And
I'm about to be 30.
I know. I told Alex this, and he's like, why the hell do you want to be 30? I don't want to be 30. I don't want to grow up, because he's about to turn 22. And I'm like, nah, hell no. I want to be 30. Like, I can't wait till because I know I'm going to get there. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to get to a really, really, really good place at 30. And the reason I know that is because I know I'm going to do it. Like, I know what I'm going to be doing. I know my mental state is in the right path to creating a better life for myself and my daughter. And so to me, when I think 30, I think I'm gonna have a real nice house. I'm gonna have a real nice stable income wherever that's coming from. I'm gonna have a really nice comfortable life, and I'm gonna be doing what I need to do. And yo, I'm gonna be 30. My baby gonna be 11. So you know what that means? My baby gonna be old enough to do what she gotta do, and me will be old enough and young enough to do whatever the hell I want to do.
Yeah, the notion that like, your life ends at 30, we need to get rid of that shit.
We need to get rid of that.
We need to
Because
get rid
I
of that
think
shit.
my
Not
life-
just because I'm about to turn 30, but because
but
like
I've
even
seen
whenever
people talk about how the 30s are like the best times of their life because they're no longer in that weird state of 20s when you don't know
people
what the hell
do
you're
talk
doing.
about that a lot.
And then you're not at a stage
I've heard
of
people
40s
even
yet.
say 40s. I've heard people even say
I've
like
heard
people
that
in their
too.
40s have a much better life than they had whenever they were in their 20s
I mean,
or 30s.
I feel like it's all about how you decide to
Take on the
keep
world.
changing your life. So if you keep looking at 30 as the end of the road for you, as something that you're not really looking forward to, then of course you're gonna have a really shitty time at
I've
30.
always been looking forward. Like you, even when I was in high school, I was
can't
like, yo,
wait
I
to
can't
that.
wait till I'm out the fuck out of here and like doing some shit.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I would always think that like if I was 15, I was like, I can't wait to be 20. I know it's gonna be better when I'm 20, and it was better when I was 20. Like I'm not gonna lie and pretend like it wasn't. It was better when I was 20. Now I'm 23, going on 24, and I can't wait till I'm 30 because I know it's gonna be a lot better then too.
Yeah.
Because
See,
I am so 100%
Me and you
ready
were
for
the
it.
same age, Marcella, and I'm excited about the idea of like growing up and like the goals that I want to reach and all. And at the idea of like 30, that still feels far enough away for me to be excited about it. But I can already feel like a quarter life crisis coming on as I get closer to 25, which sounds so ridiculous. But I keep thinking
you're
about
younger
like,
than me.
I think about insurance, my health insurance, and not being able to be on my parents' health insurance anymore. I think about the fact that when I was younger, I thought like, oh, 25-year-olds have it together. And now I'm looking at myself and I'm like, I do not have it together. And I'm about to be a year away from being 25.
Yeah.
That's
and
another thing we got to get rid of. Nobody has it together.
Nobody has it together,
Nobody.
ever. Not
Absolutely
even- not
nobody.
even our
Not
50-year-old
25-year-olds, not
parents, bro.
30-year-olds, not 50-year-olds, not 60-year-olds.
Absolutely.
70-plus-year-olds are wondering how they got through life with having nothing together. That's what they're doing.
Absolutely.
You
And
know
they're
what I
trying
mean?
to
Like
figure out how they go
nobody in
end
their
their-
life. If you're out there, if you're about to get some advice from from these degenerates talking right now, you need to understand that nobody in the fucking world understands what to do, and nobody has anything together whatsoever. Even if they seem like they do, don't be fooled by the Instagram filters, y'all. Like nobody
Absolutely.
has anything figured out at all.
Absolutely.
So do what you want to do all the time.
And I mean, going back to the fact that you said that we're the same age, like honestly though, I think a lot of the reason why I'm thinking this way is simply because, and this is gonna sound maybe a bit weird, maybe a bit off, maybe a bit wrong, but it's the sense that I've ticked off some of the things that a lot of people want to tick off at 30 years old at such a young age that it doesn't necessarily bother me knowing that I will be 30 years old and I would not have accomplished that. For instance, for instance, I mean, I'm single, right? But the idea of me ever having to find a partner from now to the year of 30 doesn't bother me so much because I already have a kid. So to me, the idea that I already have my partner for however long I'm going to be, granted to have her. So let's say 18 years old. I'm only going to be 37 years old by that time. So I don't have to worry about, man, I'm gonna be 30. How am I gonna be 48 and have an 18-year-old? So like maybe that's why for me that comfort of being like, I'm gonna be 30, my kid's gonna be older, we're gonna be at a much different spot. You're probably like, well, I don't have that yet. So what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? So it might be a different, like, just a different thought process because of it.
Here's how I feel about that in relation to partners and like romances and things like that. All of those things are always 100% every time, no matter who you are, no matter where you are in the world, are all emotion based.
Yeah.
That is purely emotion, and there's no age limit on emotions.
Yeah, that's true.
There just isn't. Yeah. So whether you're 50, whether you're 60, 75, 82, 97, doesn't matter. Yeah. You're going to be able to feel emotions. So
and you know what? Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can make yourself a mental ceiling and say like, oh, by 30 I want this, or by 35 I want this. And for you guys, it may be a tiny bit different because you do have a biological time clock, right? In terms of like
for women having
in
kids,
terms of like
you
wanting to have children and things like that, which I can't speak to. I can't relate to that at all. But in terms of like feeling love or being loved, there's or having a partner or having like just like you are all you because it's emotion based, you have the option of experiencing love at 65 just as powerfully and just as intensely as a 15-year-old. Yeah. It may come about differently, but it's still an option. It's
Yeah.
still you can still get there emotionally.
Absolutely.
It just looks a lot different than what it would
Yeah.
look like as a 22-year-old that just wants
yeah.
to party, as opposed to like a 55-year-old that really like values like having dinner
Yeah,
and just like being in the presence of somebody that really cares about them or something like that. Like the mode in which you deliver that that the potency is different, but the potency can still be
still
just
there.
the same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
For sure.
there's actually a great series on Amazon. It's called damn, what was it called?
Modern Love.
Modern Love. It's called Modern Love.
Yeah.
And like they're like these little vignettes of like love stories
Yeah.
that all happen around New York. And at least the first season is in New York. But like it's just all these little vignettes, these little like 30, 40 minute stories of like these love stories that are happening, and they're all non-traditional love stories. They're all like they're not like your like typical girl meets boy, boy meets girl, fall in love, have some babies, and like, and it just like it has like a streaming like a streamline towards like the way that love is supposed to be. Yeah, happy ending. They're all a little more convoluted. They're a little bit more complicated. Some of them are you know, they deal with nuances about personalities and nuances about desires and nuances about like age and time and like all these things. But there's a really cute one in there that is incredibly wholesome about these older people that like already went through life, already have kids, their kids have kids, and like they're in like their 70s, right? They're like in their 70s. It's fucking adorable. And it's just this lady and this like this white lady and this Asian man that like all kind of like find each other, and they just have this like they just take care of each other, and it's just fucking lovely and wholesome.
So
and it's fucking ridiculous. It's like one of those things where you just want to shoot yourself because it's so fucking cute. But highly recommend that. But it's like one of those, it goes to what I'm saying, that like things like that, we should definitely do away with those ideas and those concepts and things like that, because things like that are limitless, and they are ageless, and they really are forever in terms of like,
they are,
you know.
And I think
your
though,
life.
I don't know, because I can't speak for your generation, because you are a different generation than we are.
Yeah, I'm a millennial.
You're so like we're our generation. I would distinctly remember a lot during like high school and during like stuff like that, where people were really like in just because social media was becoming a thing at the
you
time.
guys
Like
were
we were the
generation.
first generation where like social media was. Yeah, maybe you guys had Facebook and MySpace and stuff like that, but it was no way the same way that like it is now.
We had social media as a means to communicate with each other, and we used that as a fad. You guys have social media as a way to live your life.
Which
is a completely different way of looking at it.
Very different.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we had MySpace, and we were just like, yo, we can't wait to go home and like be on the computer and do like pick for pick.
Let me call you. Let me IM you. Like that kind of shit.
Let me AIM you real quick. Let's get on AOL and like let's get, you know what I mean? Like
nothing like how it was for us.
It was purely fun, no incentives, no ads, no like almost pure in a sense.
Yeah.
And like you guys lived through social media as a means to an escape, and as a means as a way to like live your life. And people have actually, I would say, negatively created a life.
Absolutely.
A digital life.
And it's become, so there's so many things have like arisen from that kind of situation, and the fact that our generation was like that. But our generation was also, so I distinctly remember, because I will consider myself being somebody, or at least was somebody, who was very impressionable. Because my mind was so confused a lot of the time, I didn't know what direction to go on. So when people led me one direction, I typically just followed. Like I didn't, and I have no shame in admitting the fact that like it was that easy for me to just, let me follow that. Let me just do whatever this is, whatever, you know. A lot of people don't like to admit the fact that they were like impressionable, because that doesn't make you sound like the best person, I guess. But it
makes you sound like you can get taken advantage of. That's what it makes you sound like.
And I know that when I was younger, I really could. Like I could have gotten taken advantage of, maybe a lot of times, and because it was so easy for me to just be led wherever the hell people were going. You know what I mean? Now it's much different. Now a lot of it has changed, but like, talking about it in that sense, thinking back to the time, there was a lot of talk and a lot of like it kind of became a thing where like if you weren't in a relationship, what were you doing? at 16 years old. You know what I mean? And I can say that based off of the fact that at the time, almost every single person that like dated in my high school or whatever, they're no longer together now. But they were so dead set on keeping that relationship in high school because they didn't want to be alone. Now, nobody really wants to admit that. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that it was like, well, you just didn't want to feel lonely. You know what I mean? But what are you really lonely about? You're 16 years old. So like,
but that's also the case for 25-year-olds. That's also the case for 30-year-olds.
Yes. So
people
like,
just not wanting to be. There's a lot of people that settle
and
for relationships that they're not really in love with and they're not really committed to because they just don't want to feel the dreadful the existential crisis that comes with like, how do I deal with myself by myself?
But I do feel like in our generation, because social media was such a thing, it got super amplified out of nowhere. And like maybe you guys didn't think about being alone because you were like, yeah, I have a little girlfriend.
We did though. We did. We thought about being alone, but maybe but it came from a different place.
Yeah.
If you guys
we got
anxiety
it from,
came
like,
from
all
social
of
media,
because like for instance, I could have very well been seeing, you know, like Bree's relationships, whatever, in Chicago, and I was in Houston. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, the idea that my universe only lasted in Houston was no longer a thing. It was like all of the world, because I could see all of the world at that time. You know what I mean? It was like I saw everything. I saw all these videos and stuff like that. Like social media followed. I had like this moment where I followed God knows how many people from Hawaii, and they were following me back. And I was like, why? Why the hell do I want to know about these people from Hawaii? But why? Because at the time, whoever had the most followers was like the thing. So how do you do this? You know, so you would look up things to try and get more people to make it seem like you're more relevant. But like, dude, are you really that relevant? Like, you're not.
Are we really that relevant?
Yeah, like your life is just your life. Like nobody necessarily needs to know what the fuck you're doing.
That is true.
Like,
Nobody needs to know. Yeah.
You put on there what you want, but there was a moment in time where I feel like it was expected for everybody to put everything on there. Like it was expected for all of us to be like, I'm in a relationship now. I'm gonna change my Facebook thing. I'm doing this now. Look at the food. What was that meme that everybody was talking about, or like how all of us take pictures of our food? It's like, hey, just eat your food,
I never
bro.
jumped on that shit, bro.
So yeah, but like our generation 100% did. Like, do you know how many times I could probably go on my stories and look at the stuff that I would post about my food? Like, what is it? What is it?
I understand, because even people in my generation, I still have friends of mine, like people like high school, people older than me, people around my age, and they'll still be at like fucking Nobu in LA, or they'll be in fucking it's all the restaurants here in Houston. I'm blanking out, and they'll just be like posting pictures of their sushi and their like steaks and shit like that. And I'm like, why do I need to know that?
Yeah.
But also, I guess if you're having a good meal, good for you. Like, you know,
I was gonna say the only time I do want to see that is if it's some like crazy type of meal. So it's like, yo, if you're posting like a tomahawk steak, like, yo, where are you getting that?
Yeah.
Not only if you're gonna post that picture, you better tag where
you going.
Where's the restaurant?
Location, please. Thanks. No, yeah, like and for instance, and this is the thing that like our generation, specifically a lot of the girls in our generation and a lot of the guys, were kind of trickled into this idea of the influencer life.
Yeah.
Which was the idea that like we should post what we're doing and people will be interested, whatever. Yeah. So
some of the first influencers were millennials, though, for sure.
Absolutely. So like, for instance, in my case, being a part of being like a fraction of the influencer life when I did my makeup videos and stuff like that, and I got to see, people wanted to know what the fuck I was doing, and I'm like, why? Like, why do you care what I'm eating today? Or like, why do you care what makeup I did today? Why do you care about all these things? But it was a thing.
People like to live vicariously through
they 100%
other people.
do.
Yes.
And not everybody's okay with posting their life a lot of the time, but I find a lot of freedom and liberty and like this weird sense of relief in knowing that you're only seeing what I want you to see. And you might think that is just me. Like I'm like letting you perceive me in this specific way.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of liberty in that because there is so many more nuances about me that you don't know, but I don't want you to know that. Yeah, so I'm never going to show you that.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? And I like live knowing that. So like on my Instagram and stuff, I'll post what I want to post, and I might post every single day, but you will never know everything about me unless you're a friend of mine that actually knows me.
I find a lot of anxiety in that, actually.
In what?
Because like in the
in
idea
what specifically?
that somebody might perceive me a specific way because of what they see my social media as, and that not actually be me, because of the fact that like I have this idea with me being a circus artist and everything that like people have this idea of like, oh, she must be like this super like outgoing or like something like that, and then you're gonna meet me in person, you're gonna be so let down.
Yeah, people say that.
Not at all.
No, but people say that. Like, how many times have people said that about me? You're a musician. Oh, you're a guitar. Oh, you're traveling. Oh, you're you used to be a professional dancer. Oh, you're a circus artist. Oh, you're a photographer. Or you're like all this stuff. And I'm just like, actually, no, bro. It's a lot of. I spend most of my day like reading and like and studying shit, and looking at films and like and working most of the time. Like you know what I mean?
It's like my life is not as like crazy as you think it is. Yeah. But I totally understand that. But I also think you guys are coming from a very different not a point of view, but a different lifestyle than my own.
I do agree with you though. Like, you should have some power. You shouldn't feel like
y'all are artists. Yeah. Y'all. I don't have any sort of niche like that. Like
artists are naturally sensitive.
Yes. So well, I guess, but like
I mean, it's true. We are very sensitive about our work.
Y'all are artists in the sense that like y'all. Like I may have artistry and things that I've never shown people about, like my painting, my ability to draw, my ability to do and dabble into certain things.
Yeah.
But because I'm not at all skilled in the way that you guys are, it doesn't really
it's a hobby for you.
It doesn't define me. Yeah. So I'm defining myself through my expression on social media, as opposed to you guys having these beautiful niches and these beautiful like particular things that you guys are extremely skilled at, because y'all are not just like you're mediocre skilled. Y'all have, put in your time. Y'all have put in the effort. Y'all have put in the all of the work that's taken to be there.
Yeah.
That is something that like only you know what that journey of you felt like, to hurt yourself every single time you fell from a fucking like silk rope, or every single time you got burned from this, or every single time your toe hurt from doing a particular move on whatever, you know what I mean? As opposed, and you as well, doing what you do in circus arts, like, didn't I just tell you how I'm never letting you go? Because of how amazing I think a lot of the things that you do are, and like me getting to dabble in a little bit of it, I'm like, this is insane. Like you are on a whole different, because to me,
it opens your eyes a little bit.
Huh?
It opens your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, it does. 100%. Because I'm someone who has never gotten the opportunity to properly focus on something like that, or ever been really inclined to do so. Y'all doing so willingly and naturally, I think, is amazing.
Yo, I was so salty whenever she told me that you were like hyping her up and all this stuff. I was so salty because I'm like, I spent 15 years with this bitch at home. I was at home fucking stretching, working out, constantly waking up hella early, getting home hella late, traveling all across the country nonstop. You guys were going to my shows all the time, and like not one time.
But
not one time where she's just like, yo, I really see you out here. You're doing your thing.
You know what though? I think
that's the brother sister shit.
I think
though.
that is also the brother sister thing, because the first thing I ever do is shit on you, and so do you.
Yeah, I always shit on her too. My bad.
But like, because I think you and I were talking. She mentioned this earlier or some time ago. She's like, y'all can't talk about each other or compliment each other without throwing a backhanded compliment in there. Like if we gotta talk about like this last video that you made or something, you were doing your test run for this, and I was like, damn, orejas in 4K, man. Like, you know what I mean? And it's all like, yeah, you look great, bro, but look at your ears. So it's like, there's, that's just the way we are. But I will say,
I wouldn't have it any other way though, because I'd be ranking on you even when you're not around.
Absolutely.
I'd be like, yo, that girl, like, what's Marcela doing? Nah, I mean, I don't know. She's probably
earlier. I had to tell her. Earlier today, we were going to get pluckers, to pick up pluckers.
Shout out to pluckers.
And shout out to pluckers.
Hey, I want a pluckers.
And when we were picking up pluckers, I had this really bad habit of like, whenever I'm like ordering food or doing something, I accidentally like will send it to the wrong location, and then I'll like send him to pick up the food, and he's like, the order isn't here. So, we get to pluckers.
And then she's like, my bad, it's at this address, and the address is in like the Woodlands or some bullshit.
How you gonna go that bad?
But no, so we were at Pluckers, and they have a thing where like you call them now and they'll bring the food out to you.
Curbside pickup.
He called and he told them like, oh yeah, it's under Juan. And then they're like, we don't see a Juan here. And immediately I was like, oh my goodness, no, I did it again. And then I was like, oh, wait, give him my name. And it was under my name and they brought it out. And I was like, immediately I assume that it's my fault because I do that. Like I know that I do that. And he goes, see, you got to stop blaming everything on yourself. He's like, if anything, just blame it on Marcella first.
Yeah, I was all like, look, I'll give you a way out. This works every time. Instead of blaming you,
Fucking Marcella.
blame Marcella. Because that's easy. That's easy, and she's not even here to defend herself, so it's all good. Like, so just, it'll help you out. You know?
That's crazy, because this is the thing, though. Like, I think everybody who knows me, like personal friends of mine, know how much I talk about you in good light. Like everybody's always really baffled by the way that I talk about you, because they're like, "That's your brother, though. You really like why do you talk about him like that?" I'm like, "Cause that's my brother." I'm like, "Cause to me,
we all here. That's
for real. No, cause like to me, I noticed all of that about you from the get-go. Like, and it was always something that I admired about you, because to me it was baffling to know how you got so hyper focused and shit. I guess back to the stuff that we were talking about earlier, but a lot of the times to me it was like, damn, Juan be on that shit. Like, Juan is that shit. Like, he out here doing all this stuff. Like, to me, this is like little stars on my eyes every single time I want to go see.
Don't be saying that shit to me. I'm gonna get hype. I'm about to be like, you see me? I'll be like, where your stars at? You look at me, I don't see no stars, bitch. What's wrong with you?
Like, no, for real. Like, I remember, like, I would be very, very just amazed and impressed at all of your performances, all the stuff that you would do, because you would be super chill about it. And I don't think I would ever really internalize the fact that I remember how much hard work you put into it. So I know, because I remember seeing you be late, doing all those things late. And to me, as a younger person, it never dawned on me that was a lot of hard work. So as I was growing older, and as the more I talked about you, I was like, damn, this motherfucker really did the thing, because you were so young and putting in so much effort to get to where you were going. And it left that lasting impression in my mind that if I want to do something good, I have to put in the work for it.
Well, that's good.
And it's great.
But also it brings up a good point about the fact that, like, whenever you see somebody be really good at something, it's very easy to think about that goodness as being talent. And I always have that greatness, or whatever it is, the talent, the actual like skill of it as like talent. And I always push back on that a lot whenever people are like, "Oh my God, you're so talented," and I'm always like, "No,
hardworking.
No, I worked my fucking ass off."
Absolutely.
For you to just sit here and be like, "Oh, this kind of comes naturally to you," like no. Like I push back on that a lot. And whenever I talk to other artists that are like in the same field or in the same mediums, and they always have like advice and stuff, and I'm always like, there's no such thing as you being you getting somewhere because you're talented. You may have a proclivity to understanding certain things in your artistry, in your art form, like you may have like a natural sense of understanding. That's what I call talent. If like you can pick up a brush and understand color theory a little easier than like having to study it. But you still need to put in the work.
You got to put in the work. It doesn't matter.
Like, hard work will beat talent
all the time.
Every single time. If you are out here thinking that just because you're talented and things came easy for you, and that's how you're gonna get by, you are gonna get stomped on by somebody that spends 8-9 hours,
hard working,
20 hours a week, obsessively concentrated on some bullshit.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Not to say that that's healthy also. That like maybe obsessively thinking about shit may cause some further problems in your life, but in terms of like comparing whether the person that like the hyper talented and the like hyper driven person, hyper driven every time.
Absolutely.
That's Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely.
Hyper driven every time.
Absolutely.
Black mama mentality. Get on it. Like,
absolutely.
That's where it is.
So with that's why whenever all of this is happening, because to me none of this really ever dawned on me until I had my kid. So given the fact that I had Natalia so young, I had Natalia at 19 years old. So none of it ever dawned on me, because to me, it just never was something that I was really. I don't have anything I'm particularly good at. I would say I would say I have a lot of things that I'm particularly drawn to. that like I'm interested in, that I might want to pursue. But it wasn't until I had Natalia that it started to really dawn on me what hard work was like, what it meant to actually put in the work to get to where I want to go. Because raising a kid is not easy. Like raising a kid means you gotta put in the work. There's no such thing as just having no routine and no set schedule and just magically having your kid wake up on time every morning. Like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. It's as mediocre as that. As like,
and that's also boring.
Yeah, like if I don't go to sleep at 10 p.m., I'm not waking up at 7 in the morning the next day the way I want to, like for myself with my kid. So it never processed in my mind, and I'm pretty sure it happens to a lot of people. But that's the surefire way to success, is to set yourself a routine, set yourself a goal in mind, and actually start following through with it, like, and doing what you have to do.
Discipline.
Talking to the people you have to talk to, engaging with the people you need to actually get there and show the interest that you need to. With my kid, of course, it's a kid. You got to raise a kid a specific way. But with my kid being on the spectrum, it changed everything.
Yeah, that's wild.
Has she not been like that? I feel like had she been just your typical run-of-the-mill kid, I'm not saying that my kid is not, normal, but had she just been everything developed normally the way it usually does, I don't think I would have even understood that, because her inability to just be normal is the reason why I'm like, but she's trying. Like she's trying her hardest to talk. She's trying her hardest to communicate with you. Even though in her mind, it's not about not wanting to, it's about not being able to.
Sure. So then that's what makes you work hard.
So to me, I was all like, dude, it's not because for me, for the longest time, it was about me not wanting to. So it was a lot about me like, dude, I can and I'm able to do it, but I don't want to because it's too much work. It's too like I would see your dedication and be like, damn, do I really want to be spending 8 hours in the gym like that? Like, do I really want to spend I don't spend 8 never hours. Like that, yeah. But like, do I really? Well, I mean, gymnastics gym. I'm talking about like the gym. But like, do I really want to spend an hour a day stretching? That's a lot of work. Like to me, it would be like, damn, it's too much. But with my kid, I'm like, bro, like my kid wants to do it. It doesn't click just yet, but she's doing it every single day. She goes 2 times a week to do all her therapies and stuff to get there, and I'm like, dude, what the hell am I then? I ain't shit, because I gotta get on it too. So that's how I've began journeying into different aspects that I enjoy, that I've always found interesting that you guys do, and finding myself, I'm like, I can stretch every day for an hour.
Shout out to all the kids on the spectrum over here. Absolutely. Working their little asses off and
for real.
Fucking it up.
Hell yeah. Like, we see
you out here fucking killing it.
Absolutely. So like it's crazy to me how it didn't click like that until now, but it's a great development.
So at least it clicked.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I mean, you're talking about your kid. I remember when mom was when I think I was like 3 or no, I had to be like 4, maybe 5 years old. We would ride the metro.
Yeah.
To get like our like shots or whatever, for me to get like my vaccines and shit to go to school or whatever. And we used to fucking ride the bus, and it would be the fucking worst time in the world for my mom because I would be like jumping from seat to seat, and then mom was just like, "Please just sit down, please just sit down." And I'm just like, "No, but you don't understand. Look, I can hang from here, I can hang from here, I can hang like this, I can hang like that." And the fucking bus driver's like, "Ma'am, you gotta sit your ugly ass, big eared ass kid down." And I'm like, "What did you just say? What did you just say? I'm about to go jump on him." Like it was
like,
wild.
What happened if I run right now when the bus is stopping?
Yo, like, I did that one time. There was one time we were at the metro station. You know how like they over there on Wayside, there's like the metro station. All the metros pull up. So we were getting off of one metro, and we had to get on another one to get to go to our place. And I just figured like, man, all these buses look the same. They all go into the same place. Like it's all good. And there was a really long one, like a really like one of those ones that have like the thing in between, so like it makes it longer. And I was like, why can't we go on the big one? And mom was like, that one's not going to where we're going to. And I was like, bullshit. It's going. They're all going to the same place. That's why they're parked in the same place. So she was walking, and then I just ran into it. It was like all of it's open. It wasn't even going anywhere yet. I just ran in there, and then and I hid in one of the chairs so that the bus driver wouldn't see me. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but then mom started freaking out. She couldn't find me, and then I clearly like was not subtle at all. So the bus driver saw me in the review and saw my mom tripping, and he goes, "Ma'am, he's in here." So then she walks in and she fucking
I can't even imagine.
Was fucking in trouble. I bet. And the bus driver was like, "Well, but now you guys have to pay for the fare." But we didn't have enough. We only had enough money to go on one more bus. So my mom was so pissed off. Or maybe we had the money to go on like separate buses, but we were short. We were like, we were like fucking dry.
Yo, what a shitty ass bus driver. You didn't even go nowhere.
So we had to go on that bus, go all the way through the entire route until we got back to Wayside in order to get on the bus that we needed to get to in order to get back home. But she was so fucking pissed. It was like a 2.5 hour like detour.
Oh my god!
And she had groceries and she had like all this stuff. Man, I was in so much trouble that day.
I bet
it was not a problem.
I bet your ass was. Fuck that. Fuck that show. Oh my god. But you always been like that. Though.
Yeah, I always did some stupid ass shit.
Complicated.
Some unnecessary shit like that. I still do. I'd be like, let's take a detour and then we'll go through like Bumtown, Mississippi, and like find like fucking or like Tennessee. There was one time I drove everybody through or I didn't drive. I navigated everybody through what I thought was a shortcut, and we ended up in like KKK territory and shit like that. And I was just like,
way past where Jesus lost his sandals and shit.
My bad. We should have stayed on the highway because that was probably the better way. My bad. I have a Google phone. It's not even an iPhone. Why y'all listening to me? Like don't be listening to me, my old Android ass at the time.
Oh my god. No.
Speaking of metros, though, did you hear about the fucking thing that happened in Houston today? Or I don't know if it's today or yesterday, but like apparently Houston wanted to commemorate Rosa Parks for Black History Month. So on every metro they got like a metro seat and they like covered it. They covered it in like some like I don't know. They covered it. And on the cover it said in loving memory of Rosa Parks.
Please don't tell me they put it in the back.
No, they didn't put it in the back. If they put it in the back, that would have been fucking wild. It was like the very first seat. Oh, okay. It was like the very first seat. Okay. And no, it was like right on the very first seat. And the funny thing on Twitter, Black Twitter was going fucking crazy because Black Twitter was like, I'm so sick of all this performative bullshit. Absolutely. And all this performative like Black history this, Black history that, and like not being able to and not actual change. Like they like voting rights still sucks in Texas and all this stuff. Absolutely. But all this performative as wokeness. And I just thought it was really funny because I was looking at it and I was all like, man, and I knew, and Houston backed me up on this. I knew that everybody talking shit in the Twitter comments weren't from Houston. Yeah. Because if there's one thing that every Houstonian knows to the fucking core is that Houston public transit fucking sucks. There is nothing worse in this city than Houston public transit. So in my mind, I was all like, how performative is it if nobody's gonna fucking see it?
Absolutely.
Like nobody's gonna ride the fucking metro.
This is not performative as shit. Because let me tell you,
it would have been performative if it would have been like New York,
absolutely,
or like San Francisco or some shit where everybody's riding the fucking public transit, but nobody is on metros. I guarantee you, out of the 4 or 5 million people in this city, 3.99 million of them are not riding the metro.
No, believe me. That's the thing about Houstonians is like, look, I can ride the metro. I'm not going to. Why? Because I'd rather sit my ass through traffic. I'd rather buy a whole car. I'd rather do all the things I need to do to have the ability to not be on that metro.
Motherfuckers are on bikes, scooters, mopeds. I've seen people fucking jogging. I've seen more people commute. I've seen people commute in the wildest of ways in order to not be on that fucking metro.
I see people get to school in those little unicycles.
In the unicycles. Yeah, people be out here on unicycles just like, you really think I'm going to be riding the metro, bro, right now?
No. Like, I've seen people literally ride to the University of Houston straight chilling on a unicycle. I'm like, you coming in from far, homie? Where you coming in from? Like, they're not coming in they're not in the university. No. I seen them coming to your house here on and like straight vibing through. And I'm like,
yo, don't be telling people where I live. What's wrong with you?
We'll bleep it. Put a little.
We'll bleep what though?
we'll
Bleep
bleep
that
that.
shit. You'll be able to try to give people my fucking government home.
For real. For real. I'm out
My
here.
bad. No, but there
Straight vibing.
people aren't riding the metro like
They
that.
should,
Like
yeah.
like the I understand the performative gesture of what happened of like
Yeah.
of what they were trying to do, and they're missing the
And I'm
mark.
not gonna lie to
But
you.
believe me, ain't nobody gonna catch it.
And let me tell you though, in the non, you know,
They should have done that shit in Atlanta. At least that's where Rosa Parks was from.
for real, and
Or where? Man, did I just butcher that? Is Rosa Parks not from Atlanta? Did I just fuck that up?
no, she's from Alabama. Wasn't she?
Oh fuck me. Damn.
Wasn't she?
And on Black History Month too. I'm over here fucking
You
up.
tripping? Is it
So somebody fact check me.
Alabama.
Alabama?
Damn.
Right? Yeah,
I knew it
knew
started
it.
with an A. I knew-
Well, I mean,
Tuskegee.
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 Yo, that's where they did
Yeah.
that's where they did them experiments, the Tuskegee
the
experiment.
experiments, yes.
You anthropology man, you should have known about that
I
shit.
didn't know that about that stuff. Yes.
That shit was wild. Yo,
Wild.
Black History Month, y'all bet. See, this is what I
Wild.
meant on that last podcast about we got enough shit to worry about on our end
Yeah.
to be worrying about what the fuck is happening in Germany.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yo, like most people don't teach the Tuskegee experiment in schools unless you're in the university. They don't be teaching the
They
Tuskegee
don't teach you
experiment.
about a lot of shit. Like it's crazy. And then you
like
only
that, like that's our own version of
And
a
you don't learn
small
a-
Holocaust, and we don't even learn
you
that
don't
shit.
even learn about it unless you're in a major that like requires you learning
Mm-hmm.
about. Like me being an anthropology major, of course they teach you about specific things like that because they teach you a lot about how not to treat humans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like they're not gonna talk about this if you're an economics major.
Right, and there's no books about it either. There's like even to the book conversation from before. But anyway, like it was wild. I saw the thing about Twitter, and I saw it was on Twitter, and I saw the Houston. I was like, why is Houston trending? We only trend when there's some shit going on here,
Yeah.
when there's some celebrity from here, or like if Bum B did something.
Houston
like,
don't ever trend.
Yeah, like so I was like, why
And,
are we
okay,
trending? And then I
but
saw it, and I was all like,
and
man, this is some bullshit.
To Houston's defense, I will say, like, I don't really necessarily think it's a performative action. Well, because first of all, no young people are riding the metro.
That's what I said.
Let me
Yeah.
just say that. So like, it's not like about to be like clout. Like, oh my god, look at this. Like nobody's gonna post about it.
Nobody's gonna be on the
Nobody's
metro
gonna
being like,
post about-
yo,
Look,
I'm over
look at what they
here
did. No,
accepting change.
For real. Like, and the majority of the people who are on the metro are people of lower incomes. So it's a lot of predominantly like black people and Hispanics and people who maybe literally don't have the ability to have a car. So to them, this might be more significant.
See, that's something that I actually wanted to bring up because so my sister, she lived out in the suburb and she specifically wanted to leave Houston so bad, and she finally just got out. And a big part of it is because she does not want to own a car. She hates the idea of having a car, but she knows that Houston public transport is awful.
Yeah.
And it really only affects minorities, people that don't have the money to have a car. But really the city is built around the highway system here.
It's built up by
And so, I mean, I had a friend that when I was working at Starbucks a couple years ago that still rode the bus in and really driving. Like I would drive her back to her place once in a while. She was maybe like 20 minutes away, but it would take her like 2 hours sometimes to get to work because if she missed a bus, there
wouldn't
wouldn't be
come
another
around
one
for like
coming
another
for a
20, 30
while. In
minutes.
Yeah,
Chicago,
that's what I'm saying.
they
Houston
have
Metro
that on
sucks so bad.
clockwork. Every 5 minutes, there's a bus coming, and it's coming all the way from the suburbs, and they bring you all the way downtown, all the way up north. Like they go everywhere.
Bro, I used to train hop to get to Northside.
I remember that.
Like I was gonna be on the fucking metro.
Yeah.
I used to train hop from TVH to the fucking Northside, get off on like on like fucking Arlington and go to the mall just for a little bit. Because that's about as far Northside as I've ever wanted to go whenever I was a kid. But, bruh. I'd be on the fucking top of a train just chilling instead of being on the metro. That's how much it sucks.
You also know, like for instance, at the university, you be seeing it a lot. Lots of foreign students be taking the metro like nobody's business, and you're just like, I know you're not from Houston because you know damn well they know Houstonian gonna be on a metro bus because they don't like it.
We hate that shit.
We don't like it.
So
like,
that's why I was all like, I don't know if it's performative as
the
it is
goal
just
in
like
life
not the right
in
place to say that.
Houston is if you started from the metro, you definitely gonna try and get your ass out of it.
Yeah.
Because I remember the very, very few couple of times where mom would take us in metro and we were like, oh, this ain't it, baby. Because it's not it. So like our family, maybe they were used to it because they came from Mexico. They got public transportation like anybody's business. If Chicago has it every 5 minutes, they got it down to every 2 minutes. Like every new bus coming through, and those buses are packed as hell. not the same way here. Like our cousins used to go to school that way.
In Mexico?
Yeah, like one of our cousins she still goes to college that way. She'll take the bus there and then come back. I'm like, I can't fathom the idea of taking 2 hours to get somewhere here in Houston. Like I can't fathom that idea.
So if Houston really wanted to do something for Black History Month when it came to their public transportation and to try to honor Rosa Parks, like fix the damn system. Like make it better.
Fix the public transit.
Easier, man.
But Houston wouldn't even have a segregation problem on the bus because nobody would want to be on the fucking bus. Fix the bus. Fix the bus system first so that we can have a problem so that you can commemorate it the right way. Oh, dumbass.
I feel like it's an even more of a performative thing because you know that only minorities are the people that are on the bus. So it's like oh well, none of the like
but look at what we're doing.
Class people are gonna be on the bus to see that and to be upset or anything. I will say though, like what's
that, you know? What's crazy though is like because I have worked in like predominantly minority like occupied in neighborhoods, buses in those neighborhoods actually come by way faster than anywhere else. They don't go by like the heights and stuff like that often. Maybe they'll pass by every 15-20 minutes. But over in like the hood,
shit, I don't know, man. I bet I haven't ridden the metro since I was with moms.
Yeah, no, over in Sunnyside, over in by OST, like over by all of these like predominant, over by these predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhoods, the bus system actually does frequent it way much. But it's because they know that.
Shout out to the person that sat in the Rosa Parks seat despite it having the fucking thing on it.
Yo, they did that?
No, but I'm sure it happened. Like, I'm sure somebody was on the bus and be like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm not gonna sit down with your dumb ass. I'm not gonna sit on here because Rosa Parks. First of all, Rosa Parks ain't even from Houston. So they probably shout out to the person that decided they're having a rough day and they're gonna sit on that seat anyway, despite the fact that it says Rosa Parks. That's the way you want a Rosa Parks. Sit on that damn seat, baby girl.
Going back to what you were saying about the buses coming more frequently in those neighborhoods, I feel like even if you see them coming by, you don't know what the routes are unless you're taking them. So if the routes are like they might have buses coming by every 15 minutes, but they might not be on the same route. So you might still have to wait for your bus.
Well, I mean, like I don't know how buses work anywhere else, and I'm about to go to New York, and I'm terrified of like figuring out how the subway system works and all that shit works because first of all, the Houston's bus shit is not that complicated because they give you your little number, like number 34 or whatever, right? So you just go on the little Metro app, you look for little 34, and it tells you.
They got an app?
Yeah, they got an app. They got an app, and you can actually load the money on the app and just tap it with Apple Pay.
Yeah, well, you can do that in New York too. Fancy. Actually, New York is a lot easier than that.
Yeah, and like to me, like is trippy because like. It's the same thing. It's like, how the hell am I supposed to know where the fuck I'm going in New York? I'm sure it's as easy as like you going up and you going like down. Like I don't really.
Yeah, New York is a grid. So like anything like as the numbers get higher, see this is where it makes sense. This is another reason why Houston's fucking ridiculous because Houston's downtown is like right here.
Yeah.
And then like
and then
like midtown is like to the left.
Yeah.
And then like uptown is like somewhere nowhere near it.
Yeah.
And then everything else is called different things.
East downtown now is not even on the east. It's on the southeast.
It's in the southeast.
So it don't make no goddamn sense.
So it's one of those things where like fucking Houston needs to get its shit together in that sense. But in New York, it's a lot easier because as the numbers go higher, you're going more uptown. As the numbers go lower, you're going downtown.
So where's the bougie? Uptown?
In uptown, in certain areas in uptown, especially in Central Park, like Central Park West, Central Park East, by Columbia University, it could get pretty bougie. Also Soho, which is in downtown, it's like more down. If you go to Soho, you'll see like, oh, this looks like a lot of movies that I've seen. Like it's there's a lot of people be living in Soho and be having some hella nice places. So I mean, it depends.
All I know,
there's nice places in New York everywhere. So it's not like where it's like
on where I'm staying is about like a couple blocks away from Avenue 8th Avenue. Or whatever.
8th Avenue. Okay, so you're further out. You're further out east.
I think so. I don't know. I think it's 8th Avenue.
Because 5th Avenue goes all the way to the park,
or maybe it's 5th. I don't know.
5th Avenue goes to Central Park, and then you pass Billionaires Row. But
I don't know because
8th Avenue is further east, so you get closer to the river. So you get closer. It's on the Brooklyn side.
I see, because like
if you're in Midtown, you said you were in Chelsea, so you're. But if you're in Chelsea, you have to be around somewhere between 5th and 6th Avenue. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm tripping. If you're in 8th Avenue, then that means you're further west. You're going more towards the New Jersey side.
I'm going to be on. Yeah. I don't know. Look, I ain't even about to front and pretend like I know what the hell I'm saying. But
It'll be fun. Just
8th
go
Avenue.
explore.
All I know is if I go down all 8th Avenue, I end up in Central Park.
Yeah.
From where I'm at.
Yeah, if you go uptown on 8th,
so I'm about to. So that's gonna be my trajectory. Like I'm planning. It's about an hour walk, which I'm fine with.
Girl, take the subway.
No, because that's the thing. My goal isn't just to get to Central Park. I actually want to see.
You'll be able to see. All you're gonna see is sidewalk if you walk. That's all you're gonna see. No, go to the subway. Take the R or the Q or whatever.
I'm planning on this is the thing about the subway though. I don't want to see no rats. So like
you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
If you don't want to see rats, then you can't go to Central Park. Period. Because we sat at Central Park while he filmed a video.
I saw you saw rats.
The whole time I'm like counting the rats, watching them play together and stuff. I'm like, oh, look at them. They're having a good old time.
Because this is the thing though. Like I'm used to little mice that look real cute and stuff.
They
that you
got
want
Pizza
like
Rat
pet.
up there. They got Pizza Rat. You seen Pizza Rat? Look at the video, Pizza Rat. It's serious over there.
Ratatouille?
No, pizza. I mean, you wish it was Ratatouille when you saw this big ass rat, and the rats can swim over there.
Like a taquache-sized rat?
Like a taquache-sized rat just dragging pizza. Just like fucking dragging the pizza around. And be like, yo, this is my pizza. What the fuck? Just stealing pizza from fucking people in the park. Fucking rats over there don't fucking play, dog.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And there's like videos of like when it gets flooded and there's rats swimming. They're just like fucking. They're just chilling. They don't die. They're cool.
The audacity.
They're residents. They're counted in the population.
They're residents?
They're part of the census.
That whole feeling that you have thinking about rats like that.
That's how she feels
That's
about
how
roaches.
I feel about roaches. Yeah. When I first came down to Houston, and we do not have tree roaches like that. That big of a roach, I was just like
the little big brown ones?
Yeah, the big old ones. They're like, okay, the only thing that in Chicago. The only thing in Chicago are like the little tiny ones, and that's only in places that are like really dirty. So if there's like a really like dirty place, then maybe you'll have some like little tiny like roaches.
You must
the size
think we
of
filthy because we have them big ass ones.
No, there's just them tree roaches because they live in the trees.
I came down here the first time.
You had beetles?
I was training and I was looking in a mirror, like trying to do my training stuff, trying to hula hoop. And all of a sudden, I seen like a big old black spot on the wall behind me, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like there's like a little poke of hole in the wall or something like that. Whatever. Didn't think about it. And then it moved. And then somebody told me that they fly.
They do fly.
They do fly.
Yo, sometimes they be flying at you because they know you're scared. You gotta be careful.
I like distinctly remember these because we used to live in the ghetto, so like it's not like we lived in the most like I'm not about to say like our house wasn't clean, but you live in the ghetto. There's no way to go around the rats. There's no way to go around the roaches, and so we're used to them big ass roaches. I remember these moments with Alex. This is how I know me and Alex were like real close in that sense that we'd be like sleeping in like the same room for whatever reason. Next thing you know, you go, and we're like, there's a roach here. I'd be like, what? He's like, it was flying all the time. It was pitch black in the room, and we knew someone just flew over us because you hear that, and it would just land on somewhere, and then we'd be like. So we run the fuck out of there, and I'd send Alex back in there to kill it. Now, for some reason, they don't scare me anymore. I'm like, hey, look at little roach. Natalia grabs them.
Yo, she ghetto for real.
Natalia ghetto for real. Natalia will literally see them and be like,
yo, shout out to all the ghetto. Shout out to all the.
With them and be like, no, last time she was running at me with it, and I was like, please let it go, let it go, and I had to touch it. That's how I started being like less like inclined to be creeped out by it.
Your daughter is
she gave
ghetto
it to me,
for
and
real.
I was all like, come here, baby, give me the roach. I wasn't really all that concerned because it was a roach. I was concerned because it was dirty. Like roaches are dirty, so my kid be putting everything in her mouth. So I'm like, don't put that in your mouth. Please. Look, she gave it to me, and I was all like,
shout out to all your kid is a ghetto for real. Shout out to all the ghetto women that be fucking killing roaches and shit in the middle of like cooking and keep cooking.
Absolutely.
See, let me tell you. If I have a kid, and I am in a place,
necessary.
and I am in a place that has roaches and stuff, and it's like, what are you gonna do about it? So, and they all of a sudden are like that, and they want to play with roaches and stuff. I'm gonna look at them and be like, That's some extra protein for them because I'm not about to
Yeah.
rip it away from them. Go ahead.
She said, "You
I'm not
keep
taking
that."
it out of your mouth.
She said that's nutritional value. How much protein does a roach have?
That's
Because
crazy.
your mama don't mess with roaches like that.
Damn.
That's a no.
See, like no, like 2
I'm
days.
gonna just fucking walk
literally
in the
2
house.
days
Why
ago,
does
literally
a
2
kid have
days
a
ago,
roach in their mouth? That
She
was
had
eating
a
a
part
whole
of
roach.
a roach in her hand, and she was like, "Nee." And I'm like, "Give me, baby, give me that blessed thing." And like she put it on my hand, and I'm like, "It's like dead ass roach on my hand," and I'm like, "Ew."
She don't give a fuck. That's how you know she ghetto
She
for
was
real.
like straight chilling on that roach. And nah, man, my little kid ghetto as hell, and that's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm 100% okay with the fact that she's ghetto. In fact, you know how ghetto she is? I showed one of my coworkers the picture of her like in a diaper holding the Whataburger cup, like the big ass Whataburger cup, just straight chilling watching the movie with a little stomach out. Like I showed my coworker that, and she was all like, "Dude, you have a ghetto ass baby.
Your
That's
kid
a
is ghetto as
Texan
hell."
ghetto baby." I'm like, "That's exactly what she is."
a
And she was all
Texan
like,
ghetto
"That's
baby.
cool."
That's amazing.
Yeah, straight chilling with her Whataburger cup.
I told myself last time that we were gonna do an advice segment for the last episode, but we got carried away, so we got to do it now.
Okay, and do it real quick.
I got some Reddit threads. I just typed in advice and I went to the advice subreddit, and there's some funny ass people asking for advice. So we're gonna fucking do this.
Go.
Here we go. User Chimnimsky wants to know: should I break up with my boyfriend before or after our upcoming international trip?
After, baby. You take that bread and you go with it. You let him buy you your food. You let him wine and dine you. Let him do what you got to do. Lay on the bed. Do it. You stay with him long enough. You might as well go on the international trip.
Just a little longer. What's a couple of days gonna hurt?
You could really be like,
Okay,
look,
so
that's the reason why I don't want you no more. Your feet stink or something. I don't know.
Some context here. They're in their 20s. They've been dating for 3 years. Oh, I'm sorry. They've been friends for 3 years, and they've been dating for half a year now, so about six months. She says she still loves him, but she doesn't have the desire to date anymore. Some of his family lives in the country that they're traveling to, so she's gonna be meeting some of the family. They don't know about her yet, so that means that he's gonna tell them about her on this trip. And he's so excited about the trip. I don't want to ruin it by breaking up right before, but I don't want to lead him on pretending that everything is fine when our relationship ain't
The real
fine.
question is, where are you going, baby? Because if you're going to Italy, you go. If you're going to like Guatemala or something, don't go.
If you're going to Guatemala, you don't want to go to Guatemala, dog.
Like, I'm not saying Guatemala's not pretty, but like, bro, you about to be.
I'm gonna tell you, this is how I would solve this situation. You go on the trip because you're gonna put him through more turmoil thinking about you and the trip if you break up with him
Facts.
beforehand. But because you're already gonna put him you can't come back from the trip and break up immediately.
Oh no, you gotta wait that shit out.
You gotta wait a little
Just a little bit.
You gotta wait just a tiny bit, stick it through.
Give it about a month.
Yeah.
Give it a month.
No, I don't know about a month. A month is a long time. Like,
It is a long time.
Just give it a little bit of time and then just slowly ease your way back into the conversation and be like, I've been thinking about this for some time and I didn't want to upset you and like whatever, blah, blah, blah. Do it far enough away from the trip to where he doesn't have to bring up, we just went on a trip.
Like, why'd you do this to me right now?
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
my thing also, look.
I introduce you to my family. Like, I get it. Like, we get it, bro.
It also, I think, also, do you want to keep being friends with this person? Because they said they were friends.
That they didn't talk about. At least not from what I skimmed.
Because if she wanted to keep being friends with this person, you cannot take the toxic way out of it. If you don't care about being friends with this person, act the crazy bitch that you can be. Let that come out of you a little bit and be like.
You're
just
advocating for her to be a little crazy?
Just be a little toxic. Be like slightly. And
toxic light.
Like
diet toxic.
Like toxic, like in the sense like
diet toxic.
Create like a scenario that you are upset about that's like completely
No, that's hella toxic.
unnecessary.
What the fuck?
No, because women be coming up with stuff that you don't need to be upset about sometimes.
That's why y'all toxic. Yeah,
I know. That's what I'm saying. So, let that come out a little bit sometimes if you need to. If you really think that there's no other way out of it, be the toxic bitch. Be like, damn, she was crazy. I had to let her go. Let him think it was his decision.
No, so you're saying be crazy so that he breaks up with you afterwards?
If you don't want to be friends with him, yeah.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and say you should probably break up with him just a little time after you get back from your trip. Try to make it as best as possible.
You gotta give the toxicity time to simmer. It's gotta be like a good 2 weeks before you start letting it out.
I'm not advocating for toxicity. I'm not advocating for no simmering of no toxicity whatsoever. I'm just saying wait it out and then just say you're at a different place in your life and then move the fuck on.
I think there's a difference.
Just rip the Band-Aid off as fast as possible. That's the only way that it really comes about. The only problem is though they said they were friends for 2-3 years. She's gonna have to deal with the fact that they're probably not gonna be friends anymore.
That's true.
Because that's just not how that works.
That's not how it works. You can't stay friends after something like that.
But we both agree.
Go to the trip.
Go on the trip, and then wait it out afterwards and shit.
Absolutely.
You know? Okay.
Always. That makes sense.
I forgot. I don't know the user here. Let me see. User Lonely Agus, Aegis. Agus. How does one get into dating? This person is 18. She's a lesbian. She's only had one girlfriend so far. Relationship went poorly. She's fine being single. She doesn't really mind. But sometimes I complain too much about wanting a girlfriend. Blah, 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 blah. Not to mention the fact that I live in a country where being LGBTQ or talking about the community is borderline taboo.
Ooh.
I was going to say, I was thinking about it from an American point of view. And I'm like, especially, you know, if you're a young lesbian who hasn't had a lot of experiences with other women, you might not, you know, be in that community. So it's like, okay, well, find that community, see where that is and see, you know, where you can be comfortable with that. So going to, you know, lesbian bars and stuff that are, if you're here in Houston, going and finding Montrose and being in that area, you know, see what you're comfortable, where you're comfortable at. But yeah, if it's in a country that it's taboo, then that's a little bit more difficult because I'm sure that they don't have those places. And I really think the only way, I mean, I normally would go about it in the way of just continuing to live my life until it gets to the point, like trying not to force it. But if you're really trying and you want to find a relationship in that situation, I would probably say online. Online might be the best.
Yeah, you're already on Reddit. Just get on.
You might as
just
well.
go online.
Shit, you might as well.
Yeah, the whole country thing threw a little bit of a wrinkle in it. Because if you do have places like that where you get to meet single people and mingle and all that shit, it's probably dangerous also to be there, you know? So, my advice is move.
Yeah.
My advice is move to a new country. Move to the United States, where we are gonna talk hella shit, and we have plenty of people that don't like LGBTQ people. But if you move to a big city,
they thrive.
You are gonna be in very good company, and you can find yourself a healthy amount of experience.
Absolutely.
In any kind of field or venture that you are looking for. So I say move.
What kind of advice is that?
No,
you know,
there's no other way.
kind of want to start dating and looking for, trying to get into the dating pool. Oh, you gotta move.
You gotta move.
Leave your country.
You
gotta
move.
Leave everything that
gotta
you
move.
ever known.
Because look, if you're in a
not.
place that doesn't accept you for who you are, that's not your place. That's not a place for you.
Also,
what about changing that place though?
Well, maybe.
So she's gonna start a whole political movement just so she can date.
Hell yeah.
Maybe you don't have to move.
She's gonna start a whole radical political movement just so she can get some.
But maybe you don't have to move
so she can get laid.
countries. Maybe you could just move to a bigger city. Because let's be real, the bigger the city is,
but we don't. She doesn't specify what country it is, so I don't know.
So like you don't have to necessarily move countries and come to like a country like the United States. Like yes, the topic of LGBTQ here is not as taboo as other countries, or especially the ones around us. But if you're in a different country, the bigger the city, the easier it is for you to find people who might fit your niche because it's just easier that way.
This is the level of advice here. You have like really good advice, you have moderate advice, and then you have like what? What the fuck?
Each one.
But I gotta be honest with you. I gotta be honest with you. That's the first thing that came to my mind because I was like, "Yo, you live in a place like you can't be who you are. You can't be yourself. It's time to move. It's time to go figure out how to be yourself."
Mine would have been moving cities, not moving countries.
Yeah.
So.
See, you a little
But that
more.
also
more
depends
so,
on then again what country it is because depending on the country, it may just be a really taboo topic
everywhere
over the whole country.
But I mean,
and
even
if
then,
you do go to like a more populated area, it's still
even
this
then,
idea
like,
of like you don't know
I
how.
will say,
what if it's like
for
Iraq?
instance, like
Or like, what if it's Iraq or Afghanistan? They're not having a good time.
How you on Reddit if that's the case though? Huh? How are you on Reddit if you?
What if she's rich?
What, she rich?
What if she's rich? What if she's one of those
rich?
What if she's
lesbian 18-year-old?
Well, she's probably in the closet if she's in a country that doesn't.
Well, she did say that she's had one
girlfriend.
Yeah,
she's had one girlfriend, but she didn't say whether it was public or everybody knew about it, or if they kept it a secret, or if they kept it tucked. Like, you know what I mean? Baby girl, I want your life to be as best for you as possible, and I don't think it's gonna happen there. So I just think you should go somewhere where you can really be full out exactly who you want to be.
Feel like though, like for instance in Mexico, all of LGBTQ in Mexico is like taboo as hell because it's such a religious country that they're like, here, like you can't really talk about that. Most of the time, a lot of the kids have a harder time coming out to their parents because
culturally, it might be a little bit harder thing to deal with, but there is hella gay people over there.
No, of course, but there's hella gay people everywhere though. Like you could be in a country that's
no. I mean,
taboo.
but like there are places for gay people to be gay.
Yeah,
in
but
Mexico.
So
there you could go out and like
majority
get crunk.
only, but it only be in big cities.
Yeah,
so
that's
that's
true.
what I'm saying. So like you can live in a country like Mexico and be in a little ranchito, and you can definitely not be all that gay out in a ranchito. So you gotta move it over to like a big city like El DF, Monterrey, or like an island city where you're gonna have foreigners that are willing and ready to do what you want. You know what I'm saying? So you just gotta pick your places though. You don't gotta move countries though. Plus, I don't know if they'll let you. You can't just be moving to countries because you want to. They don't let your ass. So, cities.
Well, there you got your 3 options. Try to figure out if something works for you. Hope for the best. This next one is from Elan Tower, user Elan Tower. The retweet, the subreddit is Ask Gay Bros. So I guess there's a lot of like people, in this, but it says tips for my first date with a guy. So this person is new to dating men and they just started talking to a guy. So tips, what to do.
See, like none of us here is gay. So
that kind of changed everything, right?
That changed a lot because
that kind of changed everything.
Because look, I could suggest all I want, but I'm a female. Not only am I not gay, not only am I not remotely even gay, I don't have a dick, so I can't like properly talk about like urges and shit. Like, no.
I don't know. I'm a little bit. It's a little difficult on that one. I would say, I'm gonna get super moderate here. Be as communicative as possible.
Yeah.
Be as communicative as possible.
If we're gonna talk about like basic stuff, yeah.
Don't be ashamed of the things that you're unsure about or potentially ashamed about or curious about or any of those things. If somebody really is going to care about you seriously, then those concerns should be like the most minimal thing in the world. So just be as communicative as possible. I know that that's difficult because it says here you're 18 and 18-year-olds and like teenagers in general may not, it's a little bit more difficult. But just as a life advice for if you date more men in the future, despite maybe this one not being it or whatever, be as communicative as possible. That is the best thing that you can ever do in any relationship, friendship, interaction with anybody. Just be as communicative and as open as possible. Because at the end of the day, the only bad thing there is that you refuse to. I'm sorry. The great thing there is that you refuse to hold your tongue and you're just being who you are.
I would also say just hold no expectations, because holding expectations for something or how you expect something to go is like the surefire way to downfall. Like if you expect something to go ABC and it goes, ADB, then you're like, whoa, why did this happen this way or whatever. So just in general as well for something of that sorts, especially if they've never been in a relationship. Is that what it said?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, it says that they're just new to dating men.
So if they're new to dating, yeah, because like if they've only ever dated women per se, then their experiences are going to be very different, because women and men talk about. Also, no, but you got to think: is it a top or a bottom? Because if you're a top,
that's why I'm saying be communicative.
If you're a top, you got a lot of different expected, like a lot of different things that you might want out of a relationship than if you're a bottom. You also got to make sure not to find bottom and bottom, because it's not going to work. You also can't find top and top. Maybe you're mixed. Maybe you're a switcher that you like to have either one or the other. So That's too much, man. It's too complicated. You
That's
see how
very
many
complicated.
variables?
I didn't even know. I didn't even think about it in that sense because I was
are being put on there?
Just be communicative.
You see how many exponents are being put on there though? Like if you think about it in a math term, like do you know how many like places you could go in that aspect? There's too little information for me to give you a good enough.
I have advice for just dating men in general. The best thing that I think you could do is know your boundaries.
That too.
And communicate your boundaries.
That too.
That's good for dating women too.
That's good
and
for
make sure
dating
your boundaries
everybody.
are respected.
Yes.
That's good for
And
dating
wear condoms.
anybody. That's good for yourself.
Yes.
Life advice. We don't know how it's gonna work out with this guy, my guy, but you know, you're amazing. Just go fucking just keep it up, okay?
Use protection.
and yes, please.
That's like just use protection. Don't matter if you're a top or a bottom. You just use protection.
Okay. User parsnip dash peach. How long do you give yourself at a new job before calling it quits?
I will, if I really disliking it and not enjoying myself, I will immediately start thinking about what I could do to get myself out of there and see what steps I have to take to get myself out. So
how long? 3 hours.
Hell yeah.
Hell
right
yeah.
off the bat.
If it's really that bad.
If you're late to lunch,
miserable.
if they make you late to lunch, you need to start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because that's an everyday thing. If they make you late to lunch on your first day, you're gonna be late to lunch a lot.
Yeah.
If it's something that I know that's still going to help me and move me along in my life, then I'm like, I might put up with this for a little bit, but I'm thinking about what steps I need to take to get out of there so that I know I don't get stuck there. I might have to put up for it for a little bit until it's, the right time for me, depending on my situation. But I'm immediately going to be like, how the fuck do I get out of this? This is miserable.
I give myself the time that the company gives me to back out. So, like, the companies...
It's usually 90 days.
Yeah. So, companies give you, like, the 90-day rule of they're like, within these 90 days, whatever. So, in fact, I did give myself that time to quit, and I did quit in the 90 days. I stayed at the company anyways, but, like...
So, how'd you quit?
I didn't like the environment. Like I wasn't a fan of because it also depends. Like it might not be the company that you don't like. It's just that particular environment that you don't like. So I really enjoy the company that I work for right now. It's great. It's a great company, and I really like their ethics and the way that they work around certain things. I just didn't like that particular place I was working at. So when they gave me the option,
so you're where you work. There's like different places. There's more than one location.
Yeah, there's more than one.
So you just moved locations.
Yeah, there was more than one place that I could go.
It. So it looks like it's a small job. It's understaffed, small team, and
hell no, I ain't
I think this person's just really trying to be as nice as possible and like worried about making them even more understaffed.
Just saw a video of a girl like quitting her job on a Zoom meeting, and all she said in the Zoom meeting, she's like, so and so emailed me, and so whatever, and she's like, well, I'm just here to tell you, I don't really care how you're gonna take. She really said that. She's like, I don't really care how you're gonna take what I'm gonna say because I'm gonna say it anyways. I'm leaving this job, and I just want you to know that I'm really happy that I'm leaving this job, and I feel sorry for you people who have to stay in this shitty job, but that's on you. And she literally was just like saying, I was all like, damn.
I would say this is what I would say about this specific problem. If you're in the field that you want to be in, maybe think it through a little bit, because like Bree said, maybe it'll propel you towards something else, because everybody's got to put up with some bullshit in order to get to where they ultimately want to be. If it's if it's a summer job or some shit, or some seasonal job, or if it's just some job to pass the time while you're finishing school or something, or like whatever, like immediately. The moment that you're like, yeah, this doesn't work for me, or my manager's a bitch, or like,
just don't come back from lunch, bro.
Or like I don't even say like fuck that whole resume shit, put 2 weeks and all this shit. Like jobs don't need you like that. Jobs will replace you at any chance they fucking get.
They ready to replace you.
So
instantly.
don't like just don't show up one day if that's really how you feel. If you're that upset about it. Now that being said, the only thing that I would be careful about is if the niche market in which your job operates in talks to your other potential employers. That's the only thing. So like if you leave all abruptly and then they're like the other like catches wind, like if you're in a very specific niche, which is a small team, so I'm gonna guess like if you're a very specific niche, then yeah. But in theory, but just based on principle, if you're not happy, get the fuck out of there. You don't owe them shit. You don't owe them your time. You don't owe them your life. You don't owe them your personal time, your happiness. You don't owe them anything past whatever contractual obligation that you guys set up in your hiring process. That's it. They're not your friends. They're not your besties. They're not your family. They're not gonna save you from a burning building. They're not. Nah, bro. That just if you unhappy, find something else.
I will say that's one good thing about the newer generation is that they're not holding on to that idea of
Toxic.
work. The way that,
workplace,
yeah, like that toxicity of like, oh, well, you have to be here and you have to like, you know, like, no, you don't. You really don't have to be there unless it's helping your life.
I think it's making companies reconsider how they treat people because they're like, damn, and if these people are really just gonna dip on us like that, then we gonna have nobody to work with. So we gotta have to, you know, maneuver a little bit so that people are willing to work with us.
I think back then, though companies I think were kind of shitty. There were more to look forward to. Like the market itself was a lot easier to buy a house, buy a car, buy like all this stuff. So even if you did have to put up with some bullshit, putting up with the bullshit was in some way, shape, or form worth it. Because even if you were working for minimum wage, or even if you were working a good, like a decent, like mid-level job that got you more than minimum wage, you were still going to be able to buy your own house. You were still going to be able to buy your own car. You were still going to be able to start a family. You were still going to be able to do all that shit on those wages because inflation hadn't kicked in yet. So like now that that's not the thing and that we all have to fucking go through it just to do some basic ass shit, and like there's a fucking renters crisis and a housing crisis and like all this shit, like putting up with a job in hopes that maybe you get relatively close to almost being able to, bro, that looks like an equation.
There's so many other jobs you could go to.
That looks like an equation that we ain't fucking with. So if you unhappy, go start polishing up the resume.
Yeah, absolutely.
This last one says, this person looks terrible in pictures. Hello. User alternative oven 3594. Hello, this is definitely a small problem, but one I need help on. I'm going on a family vacation soon involving a photo shoot, and I literally cannot smile for the life of me. My smile looks so odd, and I don't know what facial expression to do for selfies. Does anyone have tips? This isn't even being insecure. People have told me that I do weird facial expressions in photos, and I don't want to ruin the photo shoot.
Chandler, get a Joey. Get a Joey. Substitute your ass for that, just for that situation.
Just for that. Because but it says family, so it's like.
So what? I'm sure they'll be okay with not ruining their family pictures.
I didn't even remember that episode.
Yeah, it's like get yourself a little Joey who's just going to with Monica. Yeah. And you don't have to like the Chandler thing. Just
Chandler the situation.
Chandler was the situation. Chandler couldn't fucking smile for the life of him. He'd be like,
yeah, he was doing some ugly ass,
Yeah, so, and he'd be like, give me your bedroom eyes. And he's like, ooh, those are my bedroom eyes? He's like, why do you like me? And she's like, well, let's not talk about this right now. And, yes, so, no, get yourself a Joey. Get yourself a nice friend that's willing and able to, just substitute you on there. You gonna know this you in essence.
Just the spirit of you is there.
But your smile won't be there.
But your smile won't be there. You can also Photoshop.
That too.
Photoshop the shit out of that smile. I mean, it's gonna be like real small. You can probably pull it
or,
off.
Or just get in the back, man. Like if you
wear a mask.
True.
Wear a mask. COVID times. You're really scared. You started showing symptoms the 30 minutes before the photo shoot, and you're just afraid that you're gonna get grandma and grandpa real sick. So just put on the mask.
Is this a female or a male? Did it say?
And then just raise your eyes and make it look like you're smiling.
Is it a female or male?
It doesn't say. It just says hello. This is definitely a small problem. Yeah, it doesn't say whether it's a woman or a guy.
Depending on what it is, maybe it's this. I mean, I know I run into the issue of sometimes like over smiling or smiling too much, and I've legit had to practice because I don't like if I smile naturally, oftentimes I'll like show the tops of my gums and underneath. So like I've had to practice like holding back my smile a little bit. So I can
smile.
Keep my gums out of the picture. But when I do that, since it takes a little bit more of like my
Concentration?
control to keep that. If I'm taking a lot of pictures,
like,
sometimes I'll feel like it get fake looking.
Yeah, where it's just
like cheerleader.
So then there was somebody who told me that like try to think of like actually like relaxing your face, like if you shake it out, whatever, and then like don't smile until the last second. So like if they're there and they're about to take the picture, they'll be like, all right, everybody smile, ready, 1, 2, 3, cheese. Like do
on
it
cheese.
when they're
Do it on cheese.
And then if you have
Do it
one of
on
those
cheese.
dumb people taking pictures that they're like, all right, ready, 1, 2, and they like take the picture before it, yell at them and tell them, don't fucking do that. I need to be prepared.
you to say cheese, okay? It's a mind.
I need to know your countdown because I'm smiling on that last second.
Got it. Just I guess you could practice. Just look in the mirror. Nothing wrong with practicing. I mean, we like us as performers, we've had to, like pay attention to the way we look and like you know like facial expressions here, facial. So we've had to like work on it and like be animated. But I don't know. I don't know if I have good advice for that because I don't typically tend to care about how I look in pictures for the most part. Even in headshots, whenever I had to like, I have like a natural smirk, but I practiced that when I was a kid too. So like, I don't know.
You
like,
practiced that?
My mom has stories of me. Like,
you telling me that your Flynn Rider shit is practice?
Yeah, I fucking all of it. Ask mom about the time she caught me. She caught me in the mirror when I was like 6 or 7, practicing my cry. So talk to her about it.
You don't even cry, bro. What the fuck?
No, well, at the time,
when
I was fucking 6, I'd be crying to get some shit because I needed some cookies or some shit. I don't know what, like whatever, some empanadas or some gorditas or some shit. And I would just practice my cry. Like, yo, I'm about
That's
to,
so crazy.
I need to make sure that I need to make sure that I can sell this.
Me being the insecure and like, like anxious prone person I am, I've never in my life practiced my smile. That's so weird. Like
I've had to do it more so for like jobs more so than anything, or when I have to do a headshot, like I have to like really. Like fuck, I gotta send this out with my resume and like all this shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't have a technique or tactic. Maybe that's a good one. So just at the very last second, try to think about something nice. Think about some ice cream. Think about the happiest moment in your life, and then just
That's true.
Just think
roll it out, man.
Think about the same thing that you would think about whenever you had to like do a Patronus charm. You know what I mean? Think about the same exact thing. Your smile is your Patronus, okay?
Yes.
And you just got to think about it that way.
I don't know if I would go that far because for me, that would make me do my dumb, like,
but it's a cute smile.
But that's so cute.
You have a gummy smile. You have a gummy smile.
I have a nice close friend here. I have my boyfriend here. So, of course, y'all aren't going to tell me that I look crazy. But I have seen pictures of me performing on stage going... It looks awful. If I were on camera
in the picture,
now,
but in the moment when we're on stage, we have to be extra because they only see it. They see it as like half or 3/4 of what it is.
Crazy though? It's like you might think about it that way, but I never once thought about your smile like that. Like I've never thought about like, damn, let me see if Shannon. But again, if Bree's gums are showing.
Well, yeah.
Let me look at let me look at all your
Okay.
pictures, girl. Make sure your gums ain't showing.
In the moment, if I'm just out hanging out with friends, like I'm not self-conscious about it in that way. If we're laughing together, if we're hanging out, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But like, if I'm going to take a picture and I know I want to look good, then yeah, I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna be like, oh, let me just cut these. Let me just bring that lip down a little bit, cover those gums.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, like. I wouldn't smile in front of a camera though. I mean, you're insecure about the way you smile. Mm-hmm. I would say I just don't smile. Like I will smile, yes, but my little tooth gap and shit like that ain't cute. So like, no, cause like, look, I understand. Like, there's the tooth gap is cute. It's cute. No, it's just like the people are like, oh, that's a.
Oh, like if a kid has it.
Like yeah, they're like, oh, that's so cute. Like, it's like, no, bitch, we're not trying to be cute in this bitch. We are trying to be hot. We're trying to be pretty. I am a 23-year-old woman. Can't be out here looking cute. I'm not a model. It'd be different if I was making bank on my little tooth gap.
Like what's the
There is this one model that she has
the unibrow. Yeah. There's a girl that has a unibrow, and there's one who has a tooth
and
gap.
She got a little big ass
tooth
tooth
gap.
They're
famous for that, so they won't correct it because of that.
They won't. In fact, they don't. They've told them before. It's like if you correct that, I'm not gonna hire anymore. Yeah. So If I was that
just
case,
because companies want to be like diverse and like
if I was
body positive and shit.
If I was that bitch, fuck no, I wouldn't be fucking around with my tooth gap. But I ain't that bitch, okay? I do not have that kind of money. I won't have that kind of money because of my tooth gap. So they gonna look at my tooth gap and be like, "Ooh, baby girl,
I'm gonna change.
You need to get yourself some veneers."
I'm gonna change your contact on my phone to Tooth Gap.
Yeah,
that's gonna be your name on my phone.
Tooth Gap.
Tooth Gap the third.
Tooth Gap the third, for real. Because it's like it's on there and it's living its life.
But to the point that she just said right now, whoever this is,
you do you, boo.
Most people do not.
They don't notice.
They don't notice. You may be like super in depth, insecure about it, but most people do not notice, and you still
nobody notices.
And it probably ends up being a nice thing to laugh about and drink about in family photos.
Absolutely.
20, 30 years from
Bro,
now. So.
like that one picture of me like losing my soul on like a fucking like. The little tronco ride, the little
at Disney,
the little log ride at Disney.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it was Disney or
Astroworld or whatever.
somewhere. And oh my God, there's this one picture of me. For the longest time, I hated looking at it, but now, oh my God, it's the funniest thing in the world. It's literally a kid and me like on the thing, and I'm like. Soul leaving my body. Like it looks
so good.
Like the soul, my soul is leaving my body, and everybody's always because I look petrified.
You were.
And you know how small the little dip is, and I was literally out here acting like I'm falling from the sky and shit, and everybody else was like straight chilling on things, smiling, and I'm all like looking like I was dying.
just so fucking dramatic.
All because I was being dramatic as fuck, bro.
Yeah,
I've been dramatic.
You hella dramatic.
I've been dramatic.
I still can't forget the time you got lost at Disney World. And
oh hell yeah!
And we spent hours looking for you.
Dude, I was not crying at all. The
you
minute
were not
I saw
crying.
Mom, I was
you were
like
not
straight
crying.
chilling,
You were straight dancing and like having fun.
Looking at the little cameras because they had a bunch of these cameras at Disney. That's all I remember. And like they were all like, and I was just and I see Mom like.
The moment you saw Mom, you busted out crying.
I remember that feeling of like. Yeah. I got air. Like I got air.
You felt the telenovela again.
Yes.
Let's say.
That's how I know that the Mexican in me is real.
So how's that performative?
How's that for performative, man? Teresa and shit out here. Literally,
you got your whole.
I was like.
You got your Walter Mercado shit going on?
Straight on that hoe, and I was like,
oh yeah, and you started hyperventilating.
Yeah,
you started
bro,
shaking and shit,
like
and I was in the back like. This girl bullshit. Did you not just see her
she
when you walked
fine.
in? She was playing. You can't go from playing to tragedy in like 0.2 seconds.
You can't.
You're either all in on the tragedy or you're all in on the playing. You can't be in and out.
I switched over. That shit was fucking hell.
Marcel, I gotta tell you, once this episode of the podcast comes out, you're winning a Grammy. Because we have close-up shot of your face doing all your little performative cries. And you're getting a Grammy.
Look, I'm like very expressive. I've always been told
Oscar.
This.
She's gonna get an Oscar.
An Oscar.
An Emmy.
Oh yeah, an Emmy. Because I've always been told. Funny enough, everyone always tells me, "Is like, can you recreate that one little thing you do?" I'm like, I can't recreate anything I ever do. Why? Because this is natural.
Okay,
it's natural.
This is the way that it comes out.
Any way that you see my mannerisms, all just come out as naturally as I cannot recreate anything ever. I might recreate it without knowing. But because that's just like the way that it naturally comes out of me. But in terms of like, I'm very communicative with my hands, my face and everything. That's why we have to go get some smile line stuff fixed out because I'm 23, can't be having this kind of issues. Preventative, you know?
Preventative care.
Yeah,
Preventative and performative.
Performative, yes. Absolutely.
All right, till next time. Keep watching.
Bye, guys. Thank you.